It may seem difficult at first, but everything is difficult at first. If you hear the following, you might assume that I'm talking about some insane mad person and probably even laugh at him. He never bathed himself in his whole life, never cut his hair at all, and never married or had a partner. Why? Because he thought that he would be unarmed during the time he's going to bathe or when he's cutting his hair, or that his wife or partner would be a liability because he did not want to be surprised unarmed. But it turns out this person will become one of the most feared warriors in Japanese history, an intellectual, swordsman, writer, artist, philosopher, Buddhist, samurai, and a Ronin. Today, we're talking about Miyamoto Musashi. Before Musashi died, he left us with 21 principles he called Dokkodo. These principles or rules are relevant even today, as most philosophical rules or principles are, and they can inspire us to live well. To give you a brief context, Musashi was born in a small village called Miyamoto, hence his name. His father was an accomplished martial artist. Musashi was raised by him as his mother died while giving birth to him. He left the village around the age of 15 or 16, and the rest of his life he lived traveling and winning duels all around Japan. It is said to be believed that he was undefeated in 62 duels, means that 62 warriors' blood was tasted by Musashi's sword, yet he lived. I won't cover each principle one by one in this video, but will pick some of them which can be relevant even in today's world. If the video does well, we'll cover other principles in future videos. Focus is really just the ability to concentrate your energy and attention on something that matters. It could be your studies, your relationships, fitness, career, or lifestyle. For Musashi, this wasn't just a habit, it was a way of life. He called it the way, which was all about continuous practice and self-mastery. Again, his idea was to focus on one thing at a time and become a master of it. In his writing, you can see that his life was built around things like discipline, sacrifice, and saying no to distractions. He believed that in order to truly focus, you had to stay grounded and not get pulled in by things that bring short-term pleasure. When he stepped away from society, his only goal was to master his craft and grow spiritually through the sword. Again, a heads up, these insights are a mix of Musashi's philosophy, modern-day interpretation, and my own thoughts. The goal is to offer something you can reflect on and maybe even apply to your own life today. As Musashi kept getting better at sword fighting, he came up with his own special style using two swords at the same time. It's called Nite Nichiru, which means two heavens as one. He would use a long sword in one hand and a smaller one, like a short sword or a dagger, in the other. He practiced alone a lot and trained both hands until he could use them equally well. This style was really different from what most people were doing back then. It needed perfect timing and control to make both swords work together. Musashi's way of fighting showed how focused he was and how he always looked for new ways to improve and stand out. The other word for this quote, "Do not seek pleasure for its own sake," is addiction. Pleasure for the sake of pleasure makes us animals more than human beings. The drug addicts, porn addicts, criminals who gets adrenaline by doing criminal activities, or all the other addicts and sickos around the world have only one God, which is their fix or stuff that give them a high. They live for their next hit, thrill, or high. Musashi said that pleasure in reality needs to be earned. It should not be handed to you in a plate. When it is not earned, and when we chase the high without doing the work, the body may be gratified, but the spirit remains empty. It's like getting a promotion or winning a competition when you knew that something wrong happened with the opponent or your colleague did not get enough recognition, and that they deserve the win rather than you. And yet, you still might enjoy the reward for a moment, but deep down, something feels off. You will feel the high for a few days, but deep down, you will know that you do not deserve the win because you simply did not earn it. You took it because of the pleasure. As Musashi mentioned about Gautam Buddha's story, which is relevant to this principle and perhaps best illustrated. Siddhartha Gautama lived as a prince. He had everything: luxury, comfort, sensory delights beyond what most could imagine. Again, he was a prince. But even then, something within him stirred. Despite all that pleasure, he was unsatisfied. His soul yearned for something deeper. He left it all behind, not because he hated pleasure, but because he understood that it wasn't enough for him. His journey shows us that real growth and peace don't come from indulgence, but it comes from understanding, discipline, and a connection to something greater than momentary gratification. How jealousy always have been a big issue with both humans and animals, and it is a natural trait, but it can be controlled, according to many philosophers in Musashi. And he mentions to get inspired, not jealous. Jealousy is a useless emotion. It brings nothing but suffering. What is jealousy? It is, they have what I want, and that makes me feel less than them. It is a complex combination of emotions, especially a mix of both envy and anxiety. When you are jealous at someone, you're not gaining anything. Instead, you're punishing yourself. Jealousy distorts your perception of reality. It makes you focus more on what you don't have rather than appreciating what you do have. It makes you ungrateful and drains your energy, poisons your joy, and creates resentment, both towards others and yourself. It can push your loved ones away and leave you alone in this world. And for some people, it is too late to realize that they lost everything in life merely because of jealousy. In Dokkodo, the way of walking alone, Miyamoto Musashi advises, do not regret what you have done, meaning that once an action is taken, you must accept it fully and move forward without being weighed down by guilt or second guessing. In today's simple language, own your actions, whether it is an accomplishment or a mistake. As we see around the world nowadays in schools, universities, work, with families and friends, a lot of people try to hide their mistakes and show off their accomplishments and make them a big deal, even if it's just a tiny success. But when it comes to the mistakes, we tend to hide. Again, even if it is a tiny mistake. And most of us are guilty of that, including myself. But what I noticed, especially at work or even in my personal life, that when we start owning all the mistakes, we have no stress and we feel light. But when we hide mistakes, we feel this heaviness around us. Another good thing that comes out when you do not regret and admit your mistake is that you'll tend to learn from that mistake and try your best not to do it again. which in long run makes you more successful and wise. Regret can cloud judgment and stall personal growth. Instead, Musashi encourages learning from experiences and maintaining inner peace. For example, if a samurai made a tactical decision in battle that led to loss, dwelling on that mistake would weaken their spirit and effectiveness in future fights. Instead, they should study the outcome, understand their error, and refine their strategy, but without sinking into self-pity or hesitation. This mindset builds resilience and a clearer path towards mastery. Thank you for your time. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please let me know by clicking the like button and subscribe for the future work. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care. Bye.